We have in our closing now, there's so many ideas and topics that came up, and thank you so much for that, both of you, Milagros and Maha. You brought up, Maha, some really important points at the end around inclusivity and community and equity. And as we come to a close now, I would love to invite up our final group to have a conversation about exactly that, right? All day long, in various ways, we've been talking about not just the topics and the sectors, but also how do we make linkages between sort of the global and the local, and how do we leverage community, whether it's knowledge inside of the community or connections inside of the community, or just human spirit and relationships and caring inside of the community. How do we create spaces for that so that we can create greater impact over time? And so it's my pleasure to invite up now a few more people. Azza Fahmi, who does not require an introduction, I'm sure, to anybody in the room, founder of Azza Fahmi Jewelry, and lead designer and inspiration for so many people. And also we were honored to have her as part of our founding board for Rise Egypt, and was a great emotional support for me. Please, Azza, if you can join. Sharif Wahbi, who is our current board chair and also entrepreneur. Please here. Entrepreneur and support mechanism. Hania Shulemi, I've asked her to join us again, so she's sandwiching the day for us. She's also in our leadership council currently, and Hania I had the pleasure of working with back from when I was doing that research in 2006 and 2007, and so ties many of these dots together, but also I was hoping she could come back to talk about community and global local connections. And Felix, where are you, Felix? There you go, okay. And I wanted Felix to come back up as well, because I think it's important to get his perspective on, well, why would Felix care? Why is he back here in Egypt again? And how do we build community again through these global and local connections, and build a sense of creating that right space between us? So for this conversation, Sharif and I will sort of co-host the closing. And I wanted to start with you, Yaza. And thank you for your patience. I know you came in, but you got to hear so much of the other work around the environmental and education sectors that we're supporting now through LEEP. One of the reasons I wanted to ask you to come is that you're a great example of what it means not just to import, but to export knowledge and beauty and creativity, and how to build a business that does that. But I was hoping you could talk to us about, we had this conversation about localization of knowledge, but also globalization of that knowledge and back and forth. So you can tell us a bit more about your experience.
أولاً بشكرك يا منى، ودايماً بحس إنه البدايات اللي إحنا ابتدينها مع بعض بتسعدني، وبحس قد إيه أنتِ عملتي فرق في الوقت ده. يعني شكراً لمصر. عايزة أحكي لك إنه ده من وجهة نظري أنا، نقل المعلومات، بدون نقل معلومات ما بنكبرش. لازم يعني مسألة التعليم ونقل الانفورميشن للآخر ده مهم وبيكبر الناس. عارفة أنا بحسها في الحرفة، في الصنعة، إنه إن أنا اتعلمت على إيد معلم، فالمعلم علمني حاجة. ده بالك لما حسيت إن المعلم بتاعي ما ادانيش كل اللي أنا عايز أخده، رحت لمعلم أعلى. لما رجعت بقى وحسيت بحاجة الناس في مصر إن هم يتعلموا الجولري، ففتحت مدرسة. فنقل المعلومات والمعرفة حاجة مهمة جدا في تكبير حجم البزنس.
Definitely. And can you tell us a bit more يمكن يعزة على إن أنت يعني عندك الخبرة اللي هي يعني في الحرفة طبعا والديزاين، تعلمتي برا بس جيتي يعني رجعتي مصر بس قلتي لا أنا هعمل حاجة authentic مصري، وهطلعها يبقى احسن حاجه لبره. ودايما حتى لما بدأنا مع رايز كنتي بتقولي انا متغاظه من البلاد التانية اللي قدرت تكبر الحرف وتعملها بمستوى دوليه، بس احنا لسه في مصر عايزين نعمل زقه اكتر.
ما انا عايزه اقول لك مساله تطوير الحرفه دي مساله مش سهله، وللاسف هنا احنا بناخدها بشكل لايت شويه، لانها محتاجه اولا ديزاين، والديزاين ده لازم تعمليه كويس لان المنافسه بقت شديده جدا. فالناس بتفتكر انه يلا انزلوا على جمعيه واعملوا ديزاين، فبيجيبوا ناس مش بروفيشنال. فالمساله كلها عايزه تلعبيها بروفيشنال. انا عايزه ارجع تاني للبدايات. انا عايزه ارجع تاني للبدايات لان دي هي مهمه. ان انا لما اتعلمت على ايد صنايعي، لانه ما كانش عندي ولا الفلوس ولا الامكانيات ان انا اتعلم اكتر من كده، فخدتها لانه بس كان عندي باشن كبير قوي. وده مهم جدا في اي حد بيبتدي مشروع، انه مهم قوي تبقى حابب الحاجه اللي انت بتحبها ومؤمن بيها. فرحت اتعلمت، اشتغلت صبي في خان خليلي، وقعدت 20 سنه في هذا الحي مع معلمينه ومع اسطواته. فده كان اكسبيرينس بالنسبه لي. بس بعد كده لما مستوى الديزاين عندي عالي، لان طول الوقت انا حقيقي بشتغل مع المعلم، بس بكبر حجم معرفتي من المتاحف ومن الكتب ومن القرايات. ففي مستوى الفهم عالي، انما مستوى الحرفه ما عليش. فكان لازم اتعلم بره. كنت خدت من مصر كل ما يمكن ان انا اخده، ما كانش ممكن معلميني يدوني اكتر ما هم ادوني. فكان لازم اروح انترناشونال، لانه ما عندناش نوع التعليم الجيد اللي يفتح دماغ المصمم عشان يطير في الهواء، وده مهم.
فيا هانيا، دايما احنا بنتكلم على يعني في رايز والمحاولات اللي احنا بنعملها دلوقتي ان مهم نفتح شبكات اكتر ما بين مصريين جوه وبره، بحيث ان يعني السيكتورز او المعرفه في السيكتورز معينه ان ممكن نوصل لحاجات اكتر ويبقى فيه sort of this back and forth. Maybe you can speak to this a bit more. Sometimes we have this sense of لا we're importing حاجة ولا exporting حاجة, but what about لا it's just authentically is what it is and you create a community with the exchanges?
So I'll answer that in English and say that producers need consumers and consumers need producers. And when you disintegrate this relationship so that, for example, Egypt is a site for research, and this research is read and used outside Egypt because it's too esoteric or not that, or too academic or not relevant locally. So that is breaking that dynamic between producers and consumers. And the only way to break it, disrupt it, to use something that was said in the session before, in a useful way, is through intentionality. Is to be intentional about what you produce in terms of knowledge and where it circulates, but maintaining a link with peer groups of scholars and so on. And I think that this is something that the LEEP platform and RISE as a sort of mother organization, I think that's the most exciting thing about it, is that it is disrupting this link in a useful way by holding both parties accountable to one another. And the more you can push in that direction, I think the more you can distinguish the organization, its community of scholars and innovators, and maximize or optimize impact. It is, well known that, I can. So let me tell you an example from when I started my PhD. I was going to go to a department. It was going to go to Oxford, and there they have Arabists. Okay, so Arabists mean everyone is interested in the Arab world. And I could have gotten away with murder because I am an Arabic-speaking Muslim living in Egypt. I really could have gotten my PhD maybe in, 18 months. I didn't really need to do that much. And it was intentional to take my scholarship. And in academia, when you have a scholarship there, it's like you're a bride with a rich dowry. Everyone wants you, no matter how desirable or not you are. And I went to the LSE where there were no Arabists. No one was interested in Egypt or the Arab world or Islam. And I felt that put me in a position where I had to focus more on my discipline, focus more on the science and create that link rather than have Egypt as the site of where I do my research and the UK where I publish it.
Felix, I have a question for you. If you could give the audience a little perspective on what brought you here today. You gave us an overview of your company. You're already very well-positioned organization that has a guaranteed trajectory of growth and success. What is it that pulled you to Egypt, and what is it that intrigued you about what this initiative is involved in that brought you here today? That's the first question. Second question I have for you is, what advice do you have to give those of us that are in the room here who are just starting out and have ideas as equally as impressive and as admirable as yours, but are just getting started? What advice would you give those people?
So to answer the first question first, so my personal motivation why I came back is obviously a very strong sense of responsibility and curiosity, what's happening in the startup community, and who got selected and attracted by this program, because I think that is already very telling on who the people are in this room and what the potential is, and that we are all very value aligned of doing good with our businesses. And that kind of segues into your second question. I think no matter in what stage of your idea or business you are at this point, don't underestimate how similar all these ideas actually are, and how every country in the world right now is probably somewhere at the similar stage of development. It's obviously then localized with more local resources, or local challenges, or local limitations, or local issues with the black market that I learned today about. But in general, it's aligned with the reason why I'm back is I want to make sure I stop you of any narrow-minded thoughts and make sure that I can share what I was fortunate enough to see in my work in over 20 countries so far, where it's very, very aligned with what's going on out there. And that, as an advice, I think even in this room, there's a lot of similarities of some of the businesses that we maybe can analyze over the next two days in how you can closer work together on something stronger, and then go from there into the global thinking and how to scale this first successful in Egypt, and then hopefully outside of Egypt, maybe there's some adaptation as well.
Very good, thank you. If you don't mind, give the audience a little bit of perspective on the study the case study that Harvard University put together about you, and قولي لنا ازاي الكلام ده مرتبط the discussion between local versus global.
أنا متهيألي كان هما ازاي ان انا ابتديت بزنس من ولا حاجه يعني كان فعلا اول راس مال 3.5 جنيه، بس ده كان لونج تايم اجو. وكبرت حجم البزنس بالشكل ده. ولان انا عندي خلفيه فنيه، فما اعرفش يعني ايه استراتيجي، ما اعرفش يعني ايه بزنس بلان، ما اعرفش، بس ماشيه مدفوعه باللي جوايا، اللي فيه، عارف زي ما يكون عندك فاير ماشي زي القطر بتحقق اللي في دماغك واللي بتحبه، وماشي بتكسر في كل عقبات تقابلك بشكله، وعمرك حتى لما بتفشل ما تبصش تقول لا انا خبت وخلاص، لا تمشي لقدام. فكان ده الدافع. البرودكت بيتحسن لان انا كنت طول الوقت بتعلم، وطول الوقت عايزه اكبر حجم شغلي واكبر حجم معرفتي. بعد كده بقى ابتدى لما شويه احوالي اتحسنت الماليه، بقى دخل بقى جيل جديد متعلم، بقى في بزنس بلان، بقى في استراتيجي، بقى في بورد، بقى في مع تحسين البرودكتس، واخد بالك؟ فبقى في برودكتس يقدر ينافس انترناشونالي. بقت الشركه عندنا مقسومه، نص بيشتغلوا في الانتاج وفي الديفلوبمنت وفي الريسيرش اللي هو الخاص بالبرودكتس، والنص التاني بيشوف البرودكتس الجيد ده ازاي يجروا بيه، لانه برودكتس فعلا، لانه المنافسه شديده. فالناس لما بتشتكي بتقول انا بعمل شغل بس ما بيتباعش، لانه ما هو لازم تبص لشغلك، هو شغلك يقدر ينافس ولا ما يقدرش ينافس.
مظبوط. So, Hania, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of perspective about how you have, or what recommendations you would give to balance the need to partner with international subject matter experts, as well as tapping into local players and empowering the local players to the best extent.
So I get very worried about the local-global divide, because I think the global is just a bunch of locals. You know, there is no such thing as a global hegemony. It's a bunch of locals who are communicating. So we need to be part of those locals. And to be part of that, we need to maintain what is significant about our locality. And let me very briefly talk about recycling, which I have nothing to do with in terms of business, but I have, as an academic and as a researcher, and under the guidance of Marie Asad and Layla Skandar and Abuna Sam'an and all of the people who have been working in Zabbalin. It's impossible to talk about recycling in Egypt and ignore the sorting and rubbish collection. We have a tremendous story and asset in terms of this social drama of this community of rubbish collectors, and the interventions of so many good people in trying to support these people to maintain their business. So now we have a lot of startups and excellent people, many of them in the room, who are working on using these resources, these opportunities, as Felix told them. But how did the opportunities get to be opportunities? How did they come to be in that landfill? It's something that is different from one location to the other, and really should concern us, because we're participating in a great inequality if we're not pricing these things the way they should be priced. They should be more expensive, because the people who are collecting them and sorting them should get their due returns for the hardships. I think another, in my mind, travesty is, for example, people who use, I think some of you are here, the shells of prawns and so on, because you, I'm sure, know that the women who have to shell these prawns, and because this is a great income generating opportunity, I've worked with these women in Fayoum specifically. They get paid nothing. They get paid 1 Egyptian pound per kilo. So that you shelling 10 kilos of and this is when it improved. It was much lower. So I think that's one of the things that makes us part of the global, is that we integrate social knowledge into our entrepreneurial knowledge and bring that to the table in terms of these global products, in terms of how they're priced and how efficient they are and how innovative they are. And then we become relevant in both places. We become relevant globally and locally. And of course, alternatives and the circular economy and so on are so much of the future. But then, you know, we talk about, as Mr. Durham was saying, about single-use plastic. And of course, this is fantastic. I'm all for it. But I shudder to think that some, you know, poor person in a Cairo neighborhood will be charged for the plastic bag and therefore, you know, endure more poverty in the name of an environmental message. So this is the challenge: how to create an environmentally aware population that also happens to be a terribly unequal population with a majority of poor people.
Thank you. One more question for Azza. You have built a jewelry empire, and as you stated, you started from scratch. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're here today? What this means to you, and what advice you might have to give to some of these individuals that are just starting out on their path? Your time is obviously valuable, and there are probably dozens of other organizations that would love to have you speak there. And between running your business, there are a lot of other things that you could be doing today. So tell us why you're here.
أنا ست مصرية وبحب مصر قوي، وبحب أعرف إيه اللي داير في مصر، وبحب أشوف الشباب الجديد اللي بحس إن هم دول اللي هينوروا البلد. ففعلا لما باجي بنبسط بلاقي واحد بيعمل مش عارفه ايه في الزباله، وواحد بيعمل ايه في البلاستيك، وواحد بيعمل ايه في التعليم. بحس بالامل، وبحس ان مصر هتقوم بالناس دي. فبحب اخد فكره، ودايما بحب، يعني انا ست كبيره في سني، بس بحب اختلط بالشباب، وبحب اعرف بيعملوا ايه، ولو قادره انفعهم في حته قد كده يعني احب ان انا انفعهم.
سؤال أخير معلش. حضرتك اتكلمتي كتير في فكرة الباشن. If we're talking about the next chapter, talk to us a little bit about your next chapter and what you see in the future for your group.
أنا حاسة إن أنا بقالي 50 سنة بشتغل في المهنة دي، يعني إحنا تبالنا 50 سنة على عزة فهمي. حاسة إن لما تبقى عارف، زي ما بيقولوا، عارف كل حاجة على الحرفة اللي أنت بتعملها، وحاسة إن أنا لازم المعلومات اللي عندي دي أفيد بيها ناس تاني. فعملنا مدرسة للجولري، وعملنا فوكيشنال تريننج، لأنه بدون صناعية كويسين وبدون ديزاينر كويسين البلد دي في الحرف مش هتقوم. وعندنا فمؤسسة عزة فهمي بتعمل تحتها حاجتين. حابة في الوقت ده اللي فاضل لي بقى ان انا اشتغل على الحرف التانية اللي محتاجة مساعدة حقيقية، ونقدر نقومها كويس ونطلعها وتبقى منافسة في السوق العالمي.
هايل، شكرا. Yes, please.
Sure.
Since 2011, since we met, you've been pushing me on how you can better support. And I think that you're a great example of someone who has lived across borders and whose heart is just في مصر. Why? And also, instead of the one-on-one conversations, I really want to open up. I mean, there's so many themes that came up here. Responsibility, passion, caring, the localities, that global is really just the sum of a bunch of localities at the end. I'm kind of curious to open it up and also to hear what others in the room think. But I want to hear first from you, Yashrif, on this topic, because I think it gets at, there's a lot of myth also. I can't, this, what Hania said, it resonated with me. This, it's not a there and a here. It's that the thing is that everybody felt here. Everybody feels that they want to be together. Everybody feels they want to do something together. So but there's still, so how do we break that, and what's been your experience and what ties you?
So those of you that don't know me, my passion and my career for the last 20 years has been tapping into individuals' capabilities and potential, and making a match between corporations' needs and linking them up with the appropriate talent. So talent is something that I'm passionate about. Now, to answer your question, Mona, about what is it that links me to Egypt, my father was Egyptian. He came from humble background. He was born in Gamaleya. Those of you who I'm sure most of you have heard of that. And since I was a kid, I've been coming to Egypt. I had an opportunity to live in Egypt for a few years when I was in 5th grade. But going back to the main reason is the talent, the potential. Because the same way that I might link up an individual that I know has capabilities with an opportunity that he or she may not necessarily check all the boxes on, I sometimes hand those individuals opportunities because I have faith in them. And the reason why, what links me to Egypt is my faith in the Egyptian talent, my faith in the future of Egypt. That's what brings me back here, and that's something that I want to play a role in.
Do you want to open it up? Are there themes here that anybody wants to sort of tap into or ask? Yeah. Yep.
Okay, this is a very nice ending session, very inspirational, full of feelings, and I used to love Azza Fahim as a designer. I adore her as a person now. I would like basically to reflect on my experience. In Jamiat Skandariya 2006, I was working on a replication of Grameen Bank model. And fast forward in 2011, I was in the UK. I was studying a social enterprise model in the UK that started as a philanthropy, and then it transformed into $1 million pound. Seeing this, I can tell you why do we need social entrepreneurs in Egypt. For social entrepreneurs, when we look at problems, these are where opportunities are. People like Muhammad Yunus and the recent Nobel Prize winners, they did not take the Nobel Prize for their working in the Western countries and the developed countries. They took it because they made an achievement in the developing countries. Could they have done that without having their education abroad? I don't think so. What happens is that in developing countries like Egypt, عندنا مشاكل كتير جدا. Because we're social entrepreneurs, we look at these problems as opportunities. الناس محتاجة تتساعد. And because there are lots of things that need to be done, بتعرف تربط حاجات كتير. So you come up with very creative social entrepreneurial solutions. But if you are very focused on the local context, you do not really have the experience, you do not really have the knowledge, ما بتتعلمش تعمل networking, how can I access funding, and so on. And this is where people abroad can add to us. I'm a visiting researcher at the University of Liverpool. So far, when I make case studies, I go and transfer them there, and people can see what Egypt can do. We're trying to establish an impact hub. The idea is that people are really, so when I started by trying to approach different universities abroad, trying to see if they're interested in having a case center in Egypt. They were very interested because simply from my experience working at Enactus as well, people who take prizes at Enactus, they take it because they're searching for problems that exist in developing countries. لما بيحبوا يتعلموا حاجة على social entrepreneurial بيدوروا على developing countries. So this is quite an attraction point. So I would say maybe we're not the best entrepreneurial scenes for different fields, like for example the tech fund or for healthcare and so on, because we're lagging way behind. But for social entrepreneurship, we have an edge that nobody has. We have so many problems and have got so many intellects there.
What about that with the opportunities? And also the, this idea though, that, I mean, do we see it as, again, us, them, or import-export, or is it just all together?
I honestly don't know. I think you can, everything can be tweaked to become more relevant by, for example, prioritizing. So in a case study about Egypt, to prioritize what is important from the location point of view. We usually in case studies or in scientific or in academic work or so on, we prioritize, we look at the literature or the sector or the industry and highlight that, highlight this, you know, what is the flavor of the month kind of, you know, people are talking about inclusivity, people are talking about inequality. For example, inequality is a good example because personally I think poverty is more important than inequality. But that's, and I think that if you go, at least the places where I've worked, it's the destitution of poverty that bothers people more than the fact that there are some rich people out there. So that shift in perspective, or at least this more inclusive perspective of seeing things from multiple points of view and not being victim to the hegemony of a sort of more of an international narrative, can help bridge that divide, I believe.
I agree. Is there anybody that has a burning question? I know it's an opportunity. We're all in the room and we want it to be open. Huh? In the back. Okay. So we'll do one burning question and then maybe we can close with what does this group, what does this panel think is the one thing, one very important thing that brings people together?
Thank you for a very interesting panel discussion. My question is to Mrs. Azza. I think you touched on two areas. One of them is expertise in jewelry making, which is very impressive, but the other is also being a pioneer in vocational training and kind of starting up the idea of vocational training becoming a professional thing in Egypt. And I think these are two very interesting tracks that very often don't overlap. And so I was wondering if you want to share a few words about that. Did they kind of bridge into each other or are they two parallel lines? How do you see them?
عشان تعملي هو اصلا ما فيش حاجه منفصله عن التاني. عشان تعملي برودكتس كويس لازم يبقى عندك الديزاينر الكويس ولازم يبقى عندك الحرفي الكويس. للاسف ما بقاش عندنا حرفيين كويسين في مصر. الحرفه كانت شيء بينظر اليها شيء دوني. يعني الناس ما بتحترمش السايغ او النجار او البتاع ده. يمكن النظره دلوقتي اختلفت. يعني للأسف كل الحرفيين ولادهم رفضوا ان هم يطلعوا حرفيين. اللي عايز يطلع دكتور واللي عايز يطلع مهندس واللي عايز يطلع محاسب واللي عايز يطلع محامي وكمان في فترة كبيرة الدولة ما ادتش أهمية للتعليم المهني. فوقع كله مش بس في القطاع بتاعي انا اعتقد في قطاعات كتيره ما بقاش عندنا الحرفي كويس. فانا قلت الله طب انا اعمل ايه؟ هفضل كل شويه هاتوا واحد من الهند هاتوا واحد من تايلاند. يعني عيب يبقى بلد فيها بطاله وبتستورد ناس من بره. يعني طب ما نعمل الفوكيشنال تريننج بتاعنا، ايه المشكله؟ ونعلم الناس ونرجع تاني ان الناس ينظروا للحرفه دي بشكل كويس. فبقول لك عملت بقى قفلت المثلث ده بان انا عملت مدرسه تصميم مع الطلاينة وعملت فوكيشنال تريننج بفند سويسري. وان شاء الله هنكمل لانه مش هنقوم الا بالثلاث حاجات المهمين دول. فهم بيكملوا بعض.
You know what I love about that, Jazza, is that there's not, thank you, that you're speaking very fluidly about I did this and then I went there and then I went there and then I came back and there's nothing that's better than another. It's just you go where you need to learn, to grow, and you bring back. And at the end of the day, we're all a composite of so many experiences and so much knowledge and so many things. And you're still an Egyptian woman. We're all still Egyptians of different complexities and backgrounds living in different places, but that can have a common mission and can want to do things to make impact similarly across borders and across boundaries, which was the theme of this discussion. Yes.
I'm not Egyptian,
Yeah.
but I have
Oh, yeah.
I have the exact same mission, right? And the alignment of core values. So when you're speaking about the importance or the value of trades, right? That's the exact same thing all over the world, that young people they don't appreciate being a carpenter or a bricklayer or electrician or a jewelry expert anymore, because there are more fancy job titles out there that are much easier to do, and maybe you just work on your computer, and that's part of our responsibility as entrepreneurs to also, when you develop new technology, you provide a few technology jobs, but you have still a broad mass that can work in the trades for your company, for a brand new, cool brand in the city. And that's also something that is really aligned with what I do. And I'm not Egyptian.
I love that, and I love that you hopped in and corrected me on that, because we always say, even within Rise, we say Egyptians and those who love Egypt, and then we just we just qualify you as Egyptian, Felix.
One quick question, sorry, for Felix as a follow-up. So Felix, you're German, of German descent, and living in Canada. Tell us a little bit about what the last 24 hours, how the last 24 hours have impacted your view on the future of Egypt, and what you're going to tell people, whether you're talking to your German friends or talking to your Canadian friends, and they ask you, hey, what's going on over there? What are the opportunities? Or is there talent? Is there capability? Are people committed to making a positive impact? Talk to us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all, because it's actually a very, very relevant question right now. Around 3 hours before I boarded my flight, I actually got a call from the embassy with a travel advisory not to come. And it's because of your neighboring countries, right? And I said on the phone, yes, I'm not going to board the flight, don't worry. And then I obviously boarded the flight, and I had a stopover in Toronto, and I got again a call from my university saying that they are not taking any responsibility nor any insurance if something happens. So there's luckily I've traveled here before, and the energy that I'm getting here is you have no idea how lucky you are, how dynamic and how entrepreneurial and how much energy you actually have, because others who grow up differently, they don't have that. They don't have that trait of really, really wanting something and really want to achieve something. And this is exactly what I will tell everyone who are now on WhatsApp, and when I come back home, I will tell them nothing stops you from being the entrepreneur that you want to be, no matter what conflict you have in your own country or in your neighboring countries. And I think that's a really, really important message, and I hope more people are less narrow-minded and more people know what's going on here, and that you have an equally important startup community as anywhere else in the world, really.
Thank you. Maybe if we could go down the line and answer that question, and then come back answering the question, or what do you think brings people to you? So let's go back down the line. Maybe Asa can pick up on this thing. What would you say? It's not just about what would you say, but what do you see? What do you see about what is coming up in Egypt and what the future holds?
What I'm seeing in Egypt future.
And what do you think is if you had to say to someone outside?
يعني أنا متفائلة بالشباب اللي بشوفه، يعني زيكم كده. بشوف إن مصر هتقوم بالشباب ده، اللي بيسافر ويبقى عايز يعني يرمي كأنه بلده دي تي شيرت هيقلعه ويرميه. انما انا عندي امل كبير في الولاد اللي بشوفهم الحلوين اللي بيعملوا مشاريع واللي متحمسين لمصر، وخصوصا انا بتكلم على الحته الفنيه. يعني ال10 سنين اللي فاتوا بقى في ديزاين، طلع في مصر ديزاينرز كتير، شباب متحمس بيعملوا في حاجات كتيره. فانا يعني انا بقول لك من ناحيتي متفائله في المربع بتاعي اللي هو خاص بالحرفه والفن.
You know, as they say, you can't keep a good woman down, and you can't keep anyone down. In fact, it's a myth. You can make yourself vulnerable by not having horizontal links and just keeping vertical ones. That's how we become very vulnerable. So I think that for us Egyptians, we need to consolidate and collaborate and talk to one another across boundaries and across laterally, and not just stay in very narrow silos, particularly professional silos or aligned interests, because that's how we, you know, it's like water in a river. No one can stop a people if they're not stopping themselves. And therefore, I don't think even it's a question of I'm optimistic, I'm pessimistic. It's not for me to say. This is nature, very much like nature. There is society has its rules, just like nature has its rules. And what makes us weak is only when we don't connect, when we stay in very narrow places.
I would echo that sentiment, and I think that Egypt's greatest strength is its people. And of course, I'm a little biased, but I definitely feel that the biggest strength that Egypt has is its people, and its people's genuine love for the country. And as Hania was saying, it's just about everyone has the same goal, everyone has the same objective, and that is the advancement of Egypt. But in order for that advancement to become a reality, you're going to need to get the right people in the right room, talking together and communicating together and sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, and coming up with collaborative strategies, getting a mixture of internal and external players from the highest levels to the lowest levels. And I think success is inevitable, and I too have a very optimistic view of the next chapter of Egypt.
What's the one thing you think brings people together? Let's take it down the line, and then we'll hear. No, let's take it down the line that way, and then we'll hear from the group.
I mean, I think impact, the desire to make an impact, and depending on the individual. Okay, so impact. Sorry.
Gosh, I guess it's a shared humanity and experience. It's experiencing our moment or our country or our space in a way that's what brings people together when we share experiences.
يمكن اقول نقل الخبرات، ان احنا نعلم بعض، ان احنا ما نخبيش معلومه، ان احنا نساعد بعض. انا شايفه انا بردك كل ده بتكلم من المحيط بتاع مهنتي ومعرفتي. كل ما بتدي الاخر وبتنقلي له اللي اتعلمتيه بنكبر كلنا مع بعض وما نخافش. على فكره المجتمع الحرفي في مصر ما بيحبوش يعلموا لاولادهم، ما بيحبوش يعلموا الاخر لانه بيخاف من المنافسه. فالحمد لله احنا حاولنا يعني نقضي على الحته دي، انك لازم تعلم اللي حواليك، لازم تعلم صبيانك. فمهم قوي نقل المعلومه ونقل نفيد بعض يعني. I'm sorry, I'm speaking Arabic.
No, that's okay. I'm listening to your
Oh,
second
okay.
voice. So we have.
Your second voice.
So we have impact, experience, collaboration.
Collaboration
Maybe
and
knowledge transfer.
Transfer knowledge.
And I would say passion.
Passion, of course.
And I'll keep
You
it
have
short.
to have the passion. Otherwise,
And I would say sincerity. So I think even if people don't share a language at all, they find each other through their sincerity. And I think that brings people together. And so I think if we have our video ready, we'll hear more about what this group thinks brings people together. And then one thing, yep. You need the mic? Oh, okay. And then one thing that I also think brings people together is music. So right after this video plays, there will be some music playing that we found recently. We had hoped they could come perform and they couldn't. So I think everybody will enjoy that after 1 minute. Thank you, everybody. This was a group called Bala Mama. They're Filosur. I don't know if you've heard them, but we came across them. They make musical instruments from recycled bottles and things in the streets, and then they play them. So we thought that's very values aligned and very mission aligned and a nice way to close. We have lunch. Now you might want to call it dinner, but we hope you'll stay and eat, and we can continue to hang out in the lounge and enjoy one another. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. مصريين في الأقصر بس كانوا هم في الأقصر بس.